Hey guys, how are y'all today? If you're watching this now and this button over here does not say live anymore, you're watching a replay. So I may not be able to answer your questions as they come in, but still post them and I'll be able to answer them. I'm sorry I'm late. I was eating Girl Scout cookies. I'm not going to lie. Let me bring up the comments over here so I can see you guys and we can get down to business. Excuse me. I was supporting my local drug dealers, aka Girl Scout ladies. Not local. This was from my friend Aisha's daughter, but I can clearly eat a whole box of Girl Scout cookies and not even think about it. So there's that whole thing. Let me find my live over here. And then we're going to mix some epoxy and have some fun today. First of all, we don't want to hear that. So we're going to turn that way on down. Okay. Hey. Okay, cool. So now I can see comments. So I have a new little setup here. Look at this little button thing. I could be like, bam, and here we are. This is what we're working on. And then I could be like, bam, here is my face again. But bam, look at what we're going to work on today. Okay. So that's really cool. I wanted to show y'all that trick because my friend Chris hooked me up with some little buttons. I thought I had to have something expensive to do all the switchy swappy things. But apparently you just have to go in and know what you're doing and change some settings and like, wazam, you have some like buttons and stuff, right? So I know, Jessica, look, it is literally a button on my keyboard. I thought it was like something like so high tech and like I'm gonna need a like switch or something like that. No, literally it's just go in and settings and like you could even pick what buttons you want to dingle dangle on your keyboard. So it is like super foncé, right? All right, so today we are going to mix some epoxy. So I have a cup here that is ready for a final coat of epoxy. So I wanted to kind of get on here and do some Q&A about our new glass coat epoxy. I know 98% of you love it. You have no issues, but we do have some people that are having some issues, and that is okay and understandable and may not be resolvable, because let me tell you, all epoxy is not made for every single person. You find what epoxy works for you, and then you roll with it. If this epoxy does not work for you, we're still gonna be friends, okay? Like, we still gonna hang out, you could still come in here and hang out and use my glitter and all that stuff, but I want to make sure that I have exhausted every avenue to help you get this to work. And at the end of the day, it still may not work for you, okay? So I just wanted to just lay that out there. Hey, Leslie. Hey, Dwight. So let me put it up here. I'm trying not to look over here to make like I'm looking over here and looking over here or whatever, but I'm blind, so I have to have it a little close to my face. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you a cup that I have. I think you probably seen me do, I don't know what group this was in. I did the base of this cup in another group, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe it might be Outlaws. And then, so I epoxied it, and then I did my clear cast on the top of it, and I kind of spun it a different way. So it just needs a final coat of epoxy. So it has holographic, so if you look at it, let me show you real quick. So if you notice, it has the holographic vinyl. So a lot of you are having problems the bubbles over your holographic vinyl or over your black. So this has a lot of dark colors. So I picked this so we could kind of do this whole thing, and I can troubleshoot all the little spots that you guys are having issues with. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Crystal, Tiffany, Rebecca. So yeah, so this is why I picked this cup. So I can pinpoint where some of you guys are having problems. I hope this is far enough back, but it is what it is. I'm right-handed, so I couldn't put it on the other side. So I will show you how I mix my epoxy, aka whip that stuff up like I'm baking a cake. We will let it sit. I will move the camera to where we sit, and I'll let it rest. I'll show you how I let it rest. See the differences, what it looks like. And then when it goes on my cup, the only thing I have to do is get my little torch and then show you how I go back and make sure that there's no micro bubbles or anything over the top of it. I also want to preface this that it is about, I don't know, 72 degrees in my work area. I do not warm my epoxy. It is room temperature, whatever the temperature it is. I see a lot of people say, oh, just put your bottle of epoxy in a warm bath or whatever. I had a bad experience doing that, so I don't recommend that. But if it works for you, by all means, I want you to keep doing it that way. I ruined a whole bottle, like a big quart of epoxy one time because I put it in a warm bath, and it created condensation in the top of the bottle. I guess my water might have been too hot and my epoxy too cold, so it created condensation in the top of my bottle, and then it got water in my epoxy, which we know water and epoxy don't mix, right? So, hey Chris, look, Chris is the one that gave me these fancy these fancy buttons. Hey, yeah. So I don't recommend putting your whole entire bottle into a warm bath. If you must warm your epoxy, which some of you are going to have to regardless, I suggest that you warm it by the cup if you want to do that. But previously, whenever I was using a different brand of epoxy, I used to have these, I wish I had one, but they're mug warmers or candle warmers where you don't light your candle on fire. It just like warms the wax. And so it like gives the scent of those scented candles or whatever. You can use one of those, put it to the side, put it up here and out of your work area, and then just put your cups on there if you have to warm your epoxy. That's what I recommend. I will link you guys to something. I mean, it's literally like a $3 or $4 purchase. It's not expensive at all. You can get them at Walmart or Amazon if you're like me and just can't wait and you want to order everything on Amazon. I'll give you a link to Amazon, or at least to know what I'm talking about so you can check it out. What else? I will show you the difference in mixing with a metal stirring stick, which some of you swear by, but I don't have the patience for this. Look how teeny tiny. If you are like super mega cautious and you are super mega worried about micro bubbles, this is the way to go. You need something thin and something that's non-porous that will not introduce bubbles into your epoxy. Personally, I use a big fat popsicle stick because, again, I whip my epoxy like I'm baking a cake, okay? So, yeah, like a Scentsy warmer. Yeah, Melissa, exactly, like a Scentsy warmer. I used to have one, but I don't know what I did with it. It might still be at the shop, so I'll have to dig it out and show you guys. But it's super inexpensive. It's like $5 or $7 maybe. The price might have went up a little bit, but I don't think by much. So I use a popsicle stick, but popsicle sticks are very porous. These are cheapy too. Look, this got some give. I break these things every friggin' time. So don't opt in the cheap version like I did, like 11 billion for $2, because you're gonna get flimsy. But we also sell the silicone sticks. I don't have any here, so I would show you those, but those are also easy to clean. The epoxy wipes right off of them, and it's we have them where they're a little longer so you don't get cramps. The little short ones, to me, gave me like little cramps because it's like using a toothpick, so I didn't like to do that. Yes, so silicone stir sticks are really good. Oh, plastic popsicle sticks. Okay, I never thought about that. So I'm going to give you all the options that you have, like that you need. I'm missing a couple other things. So I have different size cups here depending on what I'm mixing. I currently am not using the pumps because I don't have everything here. So a lot of you are having problems with the pumps. It is because the temperatures are cooler where it's at. I promise you, during the summer when you're using the pumps, you're not gonna have any issues with this epoxy. It's gonna go through those pumps really easy. So in the meantime, I recommend getting the smaller bottles like this and just refilling these bottles, because these are easier to handle. You can get the little, these, when you buy the smaller version, you get these little squeezy tippy, whatever thingies or whatever they're called, with these smaller ones, and then you could just refill these smaller ones out of your bigger bottle. So you can, these are a little easier to handle during the colder weather when the pumps are not they don't work as easy. Dwight said, someone shared with us they have silicone covers for wooden sticks so you can reuse them, similar to silicone sticks. Oh, that's nice. Is there a cap for the pumps? No, there is not a cap for the pumps. If your pumps should not be leaking, they are supposed to have a sucker upper. I don't know what they're called, but like whenever it comes back up, it should close that little spout at the top. So we do not have caps for the pumps. If you are having issues with your pumps leaking, just put a little cup wherever you leave your pumps if it's dripping, and then it'll catch your little drips. But the pump shouldn't be leaking, okay? So let us know if you have a leaky pump. A leaky pump? Hey, Mr. Nola. All right. So I don't like to measure epoxy. A vacuum seal, that's what it's called. Lord, I don't even know. No words. Okay, so I don't like to measure epoxy. So that's why I like to use the pumps. So if you do not like to measure epoxy, like myself, and you do not want to use the pumps right now, I have all of these different size cups. These are like little medicine cups that you get from Alero, I think. These are like a penny a piece. You can actually reuse these as long as you mark them for part A or part B. You can leave them out on your little station, which I do. I try to reuse them as much as possible. Your part B leaks. Okay. But it ain't your and then I have these. These are 2.5 ounce cups. Here in the South, we call these Jello shot containers because that's what we make our Jello shots in, but I think they're condiment cups. I got these on Amazon. This is a smaller one. This is a 2 ounce. So these are also AKA Jello shot containers, depending on what size Jello shots you want to make, girl. Or condiment cups. These all come with the lids. I don't use the lids. You can get these probably cheaper at Sam's Supply or Costco or something like that. I just picked them up on Amazon because I don't like to go to the store and I don't have time to wait. And then these are my favorite mixing cups. I've mixed in these cups since I started. Another maker had used these many years ago and she swore by them, and I just picked up her trend. I do like these. This is a 9 ounce cup. Is it an overkill? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I like that it's a clear cup and I can actually see all the way through it, where I can see if things are mixed, and if I'm mixing a little bit of epoxy in my glitter, you can really get a feel of how much glitter you have mixed into this epoxy, okay? So these are like all hazy or like frosted or whatever, so you can't, they're clear but not like that clear. So that's why I like to mix in these. These are a little bit more expensive than normal, but again, I buy them in bulk on Amazon. You probably get them cheaper somewhere else. They're 9 ounce. They're supposed to be solo cups, but this one says trash box. I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but yeah. So if you don't like to measure, you can fill this whole cup. So that would give you 5 ounces of epoxy. Is that an overkill? Yes, ma'am, it is. But if you're epoxy in 8 or 9 cups, it's not. So you just put equal parts, both A and B in here. This one's the same way. If you don't want to measure and you just want to fill the cup up, this is 2 ounces. 2 ounces of each side makes 4 ounces. Is that an overkill for 1 cup? Yes, ma'am, it is. So then you would just make sure you have more than 1 cup to mix. Hey, Mariah. So I am trying to be frugal because, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. So I got these little fancy cups here that have the little measurements on them. So normally I suck at measuring, okay? So, but we're going to try it because I only need a little bit for this cup. So we're going to try these. We're going to see how bad I suck using these. So, pro tip, which I'm not a pro, but I don't know why they say that. So, if you take your Sharpie, because I'm blind and I can't see, or molds, there you go. I can't, even though these are raised numbers here or whatever, sometimes I still can't see it. So you take your little Sharpie or whatever permanent marker thing or whatever. So I think I'm probably not going to need that much. Does it have milliliters? So I think 10 milliliters on each side is going to be a little much, but I do have some really thick divots in here. So maybe 7.5 milliliters of each side. So what I'm doing here is I'm marking the 7.5 milliliter on my cup, so it's you can see the lines better. So if you're blind like me, bless our hearts, we can't see this crap. We're just going to take this little marker and we're going to highlight our line. Okay, so now I can put this pretty much anywhere and I can see this line. So I think that's part of the reason why I don't like to measure, because I can't see where I'm measuring to. Oh, the clear measuring cup. See, I still wouldn't be able to see, I don't think. Restaurant supply store, if that helps anyone. Okay, thanks, Jessica. So yeah, so now I have my little thing. So we're going to move all of these out of the way. I think I could probably mix in one of these smaller cups, but for the sake of this, yeah, that's going to be too much. So I'm going to actually just mix in here. So I got a tip from Jennifer today, our admin, that's told me that if you use a smaller cup to mix your epoxy in, you're less likely to introduce, you introduce less air because you don't have a big space to whip your epoxy in. Okay? Hi, Wendy. Mark 7.5 and 15 to use 1 cup. Fill 7.5 with, oh, well, there you go. There you go. You could do that. I got clear 9 ounce with black lines. Oh, well, that's really nice. I'd like to know where you got those too. Oops, my mat just fell on the floor. So we will test that theory with this little smaller cup, but I'm still gonna mix it like I normally do. I'm not gonna use this little wand, but maybe we'll mix, for the sake of science in this video, I will mix one with this and one without this, okay? So that's what we'll do. We're sciencing it. We're scientists today. Always use your gloves. I have, let me, hold on, I gotta grab something real quick. So when you're using the glass coat epoxy and you're really worried about micro bubbles and all that, you will need a heat source. So this one's been loved. So I normally used to use a heat gun, but I find that the heat guns actually introduce dust. So I've reluctantly started using this little mini torch, which you can see, like I grab it with 100 different hands of epoxy. I don't know how I haven't epoxied the button closed or open or whatever. This was, I mean, less than $20 on the Amazon, and you refill it at the bottom, easy breezy. I think this is going to be perfect for you guys that are struggling with micro bubbles. But I want to let you know, if you overheat it, you're going to cause fish eyes on your cups. Okay, so we're gonna show you what we're gonna do. Less surface area, less bubbles introduced. There we go. So there's the science behind that. You know, I don't do science. Alero is the way, yeah, Alero or whatever. Yeah, that's where these come from. Like 11 billion of them for like $20 or something. I find the metal star stick creates less bubbles than the popsicle sticks or makeup star sticks. Yes, absolutely, Ashley, because it's not a porous surface, so you're not introducing, and it's also thinner, so it's not like whipping it. Creme brulee torch, that's right. So I am going to move this just a tiny, maybe. I wasn't prepared to move. Let me move this out of the way. I'm gonna move this over just a tiny bit so you guys can see so I'm actually going to take my marker so I don't forget and write on the bottom. This is my A cup, A cup, and this is my B cup. So I can reuse, and the same thing. No, that's the wrong cup. Don't do that. Eek! No, these are what I'm mixing in. This is my A cup, the mixing cup. And this is my B cup. This is going to be with stick. This is with stick. This is with metal. Metal. There we go. With the metal. Okay. So we're sciencing. We are sciencing today. Meaning mix in a small cup versus a larger cup. Yes, that is correct, Terry. So here is my epoxy. Here is part A and part B. My bottles are a little gunky because I have been refilling these from a bigger bottle, but I think these right now are, ooh, good God, don't look on the back of that, are a mess. How about that? Let me clean up my mess. I also use baby wipes. Hand it around. That's the easiest thing to get epoxy off of your hands. I also made my own sugar scrub. I'll tell you all about that in another video, I guess. But it's super easy, and it helps to get epoxy off your hands. But I would recommend do not get epoxy on your hands because, ew, just don't do it, okay? Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. All right. So, Bo said, hey, Miss Rachel. Hey, Bo. How are you? All right, so let me move my mouse out of the way so I don't turn it off. So we are going to go ahead and mix the first one up. If the epoxy is not coming out of these little squeezy tips fast enough for you, like they are not for me, you can clip the tip a little bit and make the spout a little bigger to make it a little bit more manageable. But the only thing is your lids may not go back, your little red tips may not go back on. If that's an issue, if that's something that you're worried about, which, I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised I haven't lost them already. Okay. Yeah, so the sugar scrub was super easy. All you need is sugar, coconut oil, and I used the foaming hand soap from Bath and Body to give me some sudsies. So some people don't use the soap in it, so they could just scrub it on their skin and leave it on their skin. But I need to be able to wash it off. So, all right. Okay. So obviously is that the thicker or thinner? This is the thinner. All right. I went over a little bit on my line, clearly. This is why I can't have nice things. If I fill it all the way to the top, I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I'm blind, y'all. That's why I can't do this like this. Even with the mark, I screw it up. Okay. Yeah, these mandala decals, she just added to the website. They're called Dream and Glitter. So you can get a whole sheet of these little pretty mandalas or whatever from Crafty Thriving. And then I found this file in the Silhouette store. All right, so first one we're gonna do with the metal stick, okay? So we're gonna put that, we're gonna start mixing it together. You know, make sure to scrape all of your sides, scrape your bottom really well so you can get all of that epoxy out. You wanna make sure every bit is out that you can, because that way you're gonna get a good mix. Okay. All right, so that's B. I'm going to put that to the side. We're going to save that because I'm going to reuse that cup. I'm being frugal or cheap. Just don't cut below that ridge on the cap. We'll click. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know, Amanda. Because these little spouts are a little tiny for me. I don't have time for. That's why I like to just take the lid off and glub it in. Because I don't have time for it to sit. I'm so impatient. So impatient. All right, and just making sure to scrape all of the bottom and the sides really well. Making sure you get every last bit, right? So we'll put that over here. Hey, Mr. Nola. She just added them today, Lindsay. All right, so I'm not going to mix this any other way besides my way. Like, I seriously whip this stuff like a cake. I make sure that I always scrape the sides. I'm scraping my stick off to make sure anything is that was on the stick from when I got the other ones out. But, I mean, I mix. And yes, there is bubbles in here. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? There are bubbles. It sometimes looks white. There's so many micro bubbles in it because if you're anything like me, you're just trying to get it mixed so you can do something else while it rests. So resting is very important with the glass coat if you are worried about bubbles. Okay? Because when you resting, when you let your epoxy rest with the glass coat, we have a degassing agent that is built into this. So it gives that degassing agent time to start doing its job, right? All right, so I think this is pretty much mixed. Pretty much mixed enough. All right, so do you see that? It is white. Let me see. Can you see the side? Let me see if I can. It is white. It looks like frosting, right? It looks like frosting. So now we're going to sit it down and we're going to leave it down. We're going to leave it setting for a second. I am going to wipe off this stick and then we're going to mix another batch with the popsicle stick and while this one is degassing. So when you use a metal stick or something like this, or the star sticks or silicone sticks, you just wipe them off with a paper towel and put it to the side and you have another, it's good to go. Okay? So if you guys see, you can see the bubbles in here. But you also see that they're already starting to rise to the top. All right, let me see if I have a timer. Can somebody set the timer for 7 minutes? If I had Alexa, that's what I tell her to do. But you see how many bubbles are in there? Somebody set the timer for 7 minutes and we're gonna come back and look at it in about 7 minutes. You have about a 45 or 50 minute working time with this epoxy. So you don't have to be like in a super mega hurry to get it on. It's not like speed dry. So you can let that sit there and let it do its own thing. Jennifer. That's because I felt bad you were peeling all the epoxy off my stick last week. So you can let this rest and let the degassing agent do its thing before you introduce it to your cup. Will there still be bubbles in here when we put it on the cup? Absolutely. But I'm going to show you how working it with your hands is going to help pop these bubbles. And you're not going to see this white epoxy. You see how, look at all the bubbles in there on this cup, even on that chrome vinyl or whatever, right? Okay, so don't mix these up. We're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna mix it with a popsicle stick and see what the difference is. Alright. I'm gonna have to cut those tips off later. Cindy, it is in the next phase of testing. We are not taking, it was almost a year for me to release the last one. And I want to make sure that we do not have another hiccup like we did last time. I felt like the Tiger King whenever we said, I'm never going to financially recover from this. That's what I felt that in my soul. But I want to make sure that when we launch it for the second time, it is the thing. So we are in the final testing stages right now. The final testers should be getting product hopefully any day now. It's a new week. So by the end of the week, they'll have it in their hands for them to test in other places. So we will really get a good feel. I have used every drop that they sent me, and it's just as perfect as I approved the first time, with the slight exception that it smells a little bit more like the glass coat, which is like suntan lotion or cleaning supplies or whatever fragrance that you guys think that you smell. The Speed Dry has a little bit more of that smell to it, but still beautiful. All the cups that I've been doing, finishing up this last week, have been done with nothing but the Speed Dry, all coats, and it's perfection. So it's going to knock your socks off, I promise. Yeah, yep. Shipped to the testers today. That's exciting. That means I get another batch. All right, so this is our with stick thing that we're doing, right? So as you can see, I like the stick because I like to get it mixed up. To me, it mixes a little faster with the stick, but it also introduces more bubbles. But I don't sweat this because I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to get rid of them. So I'm making sure I scrape my stick off. I'm going around the sides and like I'm vigorously stirring. Hi, Holly from Ohio. So I'm vigorously stirring. I do not baby my epoxy. If you baby your epoxy, good. You do what works for you. This is what works for me. I'm always in a hurry. You have an epoxy mixer. That's even better if you have one that you like or whatever. So I think that is pretty much mixed. But also, do you see? It is pretty much white and it's full of bubbles. All right. As you can see now, this one is foaming at the top. So that degasser is working and it's pulling those bubbles at the top. That's what you want it to look like. You want it to look frothy. I wish I could turn it to the side. I don't know how to do that without. But you can see these micro bubbles here? It's like frothy. That's that degasser bringing those bubbles to the top surface. That's what you want it to do. So anywhere between 7 and 10 minutes, you're going to leave that sitting and let that degasser to work, okay? Blue silicone mixing sticks. Is this the same size as the popsicle sticks, but I have noticed fewer bubbles? That's good. That's good. I need to get a silicone one because I like how wide it is. Because I really like to mix it with the wider stick. I feel like I get it mixed a little better. You know, it is what it is. You got to go science at work. I'll catch the replay tonight. Have a good day. All right, Lindsay, bye. Hi, Jackie. You call her Monkey? Yeah, so you have to let it sit, and you don't have to worry about, like, so this one is the one that we mixed with the metal. It's barely warm. You have a very big working window with this epoxy. So until it starts to accelerate, you have a very big working window. So like 45 to 50 minutes before it's like starts to really gum up. But like you can see, let's see if it's going to focus. Let me see if I turn this off, it would be better. So you see those bubbles? So you can see the bubbles are coming to the top and the bottom of the epoxy is starting to clear up. You want those bubbles to come to the top. That's what that degassing agent is doing, is bringing those bubbles to the top so they'll pop. And so this one is the stick. So, there we go. So maybe that's a good enough light, right? Oh yeah, when we launch the speed dry, it'll still have a discount, of course. We'll definitely will. We're gonna make sure we take care of you guys. But you're gonna want to jump on that speed dry because it is everything. I'm telling you, like I'm so much in love with that speed dry. I was in the first time I tested it as well, but we are like doing everything that we are making sure that there's not going to be another whoopsie. So when you get it, you can put it on your cup when you get it, and it'll be perfect. Okay. Yeah. So, still barely warm, but you can see that the bubbles are starting to come to the top. So if I maybe, pull some of these bubbles to the side, maybe. You can see that the epoxy at the bottom is starting to get clear. So the degassing agent is working. This one as well, you can see the bubble, those big bubbles rising to the top. Let's see if it'll focus. There you go. That's the degassing agent working, pulling those bubbles to the top. Speed dry can be your first, second, third, fourth, final, whatever you want to do. Timer is up on the metal stick. That was 7 minutes. So this would be pretty much ready to go. So if we want to do that, we can do that. And I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and throw these away so I don't put my elbow in it. I'm going to move these to the side. So that is with the stick. I'm going to move my little phone stand over here. Move this back here. All right, can you guys see that? Find the button. We are actually testing the speed dry in some molds. I think that it will be able to be used. We won't recommend it, but you will be able to use it in some thinner molds. Hi, Melissa. Speed dry is our version of a fast reacting, accelerated drying epoxy. This turner I got from the Bowen. This is my single from the Bowen. We used to sell these in the store, but they are crazy busy, and so you have to get them directly from them now. But these are the only turners I use. These will be the only turners. These are my personal turners. I've been using these turners for over 3 years, and I've never been disappointed in these turners. Yeah, so these turners are ridiculously amazing. All right, so let's work this epoxy. I'm just going to go in just like this. I'm going to show you guys how I epoxy. We are working on, me and a few crafty friends are working on a virtual event. Right now we think that that's going to be the best bet. So we will be announcing all that information on the 15th. So I don't know if you've seen my little teaser. It's Makerville Staycation. So keep your eyes peeled, and we will be announcing more information on that on the 15th. The speed dry is about, it depends on your temperature in your room, but between 2 to 4 hours. So when I epoxy, I just stick my finger in it. That sounds gross, but I do. And so you can see now all that's left is like little bitty micro bubbles. But I'm going to go ahead and start massaging my cup with this epoxy. So I just take it and I'm rubbing it in like I'm rubbing in suntan lotion. I want this to be a thin coat anyway because I already have a couple coats of epoxy on this cup already. So I don't want a super thick coat. But I just start, I always start with one finger and then end up with more of them. Because I'm like, I'm not going to make it messy, but then I make it messy. My birthday's in June too, Ashley. This might not be enough epoxy for to fill in those divots. I had some pretty thick divots because I had some chunky glitter up on here, but I always have that with stick over there. So this might be enough. That's probably enough. Maybe. So I just massage my cup. And make sure it goes over, like, especially I pay close attention on decals or black vinyl or anything like that, just to make sure, because as you're moving your hands across the epoxy, that's what's popping those bubbles. Okay, so you're just causing those bubbles to rise up. And I want you guys to learn this epoxy. This is a thicker epoxy than most epoxies that you're probably using right now. If you're using a super thick epoxy, then this is nothing new to you. But I think some of the issues that you guys might be running into is you're using too thick of a coat. And that's what's causing those bubbles not to rise to the top, because your epoxy is too thick. You only need a super thin, because this is a thicker epoxy, you only need a super thin coat. I feel a little dry spot right there. Yes, we are so excited about that event. So yeah, so I'm just making sure I take my time. Like I said, I rub over all of the decals. Anywhere that I'm worried about there's going to be issues with micro bubbles, I'll just rub my fingers over just to make sure I'm getting all the epoxy and all those cracks and crevices, anything that I'm going to be worried about micro bubbles. I'm just rubbing them down, massaging the bubbles out, if you will. That's right. You should not be able to feel your decals or your glitter when you're sliding your hand over. But you also don't want it so thick that your cup is going to be lopsided or you're going to be thick. But you do need a little bit extra when you're going over chunky glitter, of course, decals, of course, whatever. But don't be afraid to overwork this epoxy with your hands, because you still have that long, working window. So the more that you are handsy with this epoxy, the less likely you are going to have to get micro bubbles, because you are smoothing this epoxy out, you're making it thin, you are going over all those problem areas, so you're causing yourself, you're helping that degasser get rid of those bubbles for you. On a 20 ounce cup, I use 10 milliliter with your epoxy compared to 20 milliliters with other epoxy. Yes. So people always ask how much epoxy I use. I don't know. So I always cringe when I get asked that, because I don't ever pay attention, because most of the time I'm always doing other things. So I never really measure specifically for a single cup. So this cup, for instance, had 7.5 milliliters of each side, and I think it's pretty good coverage. I think it's pretty freaking shiny. I do not see any bubbles, but I'm going to show you guys how to make sure that you do not have any bubbles. Okay, so that is it. We have used the whole container. That was 7.5 of each side. So this one is with the stick. I'm not going to use that. I don't need that. I think I'm pretty well covered, but I'm going to take my glove off and I'm going to show you guys how I finish this. Okay, so I will put my glove back on because I'm sure I'm going to touch something. Hey, Tammy. Hi, Debbie. All right, so, all right, I'm going to let my hands cool for a second. All right, so I have my little creme brulee thingamadoodle madobber. So I'm going to show you guys how, hi, Kenna. Okay, see you later. I'm going to show you how I do this. I do not turn this on and leave it directly pointed anywhere, okay? Actually, I'm going to stand up so I can actually see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pay attention. This is pretty flawless like this. Where I'm going to be prone to bubbles. Over my decal, you don't want those little micro bubbles. See, I have a clicky one, so I don't turn it on and like just, right? I don't know if this is ruining it. Hopefully Mr. Nola will tell me if I'm ruining it. But I just do that over the spots that I'm really worried about. Like my decal right there is perfect. You don't need a lot of heat, because if you use a lot of heat, if you overheat this, that's what causes the separation and causes the fish eyes on your epoxy. Okay? I think that's pretty much, just to be on the safe side. I'll hit them one more time, but that's it. I don't don't see any bubbles, and I'm using chrome vinyl just so I can show you guys. And that's it. Like a couple little poofs with your little brulee thingy, whatever the heck it is, cream brulee thingy. Hey Renee. But that's it. Easy breezy. And you're gonna have flawless coverage. If you are overheating it, again, that's what's going to cause your fish eyes. If you have too much epoxy on here, you're not going to be able to get those bubbles because the epoxy is going to be too thick. You just want thin coats. No, Sarah, this is perfect for that. You wouldn't use the speed dry for a beach. You would definitely use this. You would definitely use the glass coat for any kind of thing that you wanted movement. Now you can move, you can add heat and then your epoxy starts moving, but you'll have a lot more epoxy on those type of cups to get that movement. So you don't have to worry about that. But even in that instant, I have used too much heat in like an ink cup where it does fisheye. So if you ever do something like that and you come back and you notice a fisheye, just take your gloved finger and rub it on that fisheye and rub it around that epoxy. That'll fill up that fisheye and it won't ruin your cup. Okay? I'm going to save this video and I'll upload it to YouTube so you guys can see it here, and then we can, if you're interested, you can watch it over there as well. Okay, Joy, did I do some things differently that maybe you didn't? Maybe you can try? Because I really want to make sure that I have tried to tell each of you as much information. Trying new epoxies are hard. Let me turn this back. So anytime you try a new epoxy, it's hard. When you swap epoxies, it's really hard, especially when you're used to using something that's worked for you for so long. New epoxies are very hard. Not everyone will have those issues, but not everyone will have the raving reviews or whatever. And it's okay because each person is different. But that's why I wanted to come on today and show you guys how I get my results, because I'm having a hard time recreating some of the issues that you guys are having. Not that I don't think that you are having them, but it's very hard for me to fix something that I don't see on my side. So I wanted to show you guys how I'm doing it, so maybe you can pick up some things that I'm doing that maybe you're not doing, so you can get the best results. If that come out right. I'm not sure. That kind of might have sounded mumbled and jumbled or whatever. But yeah, so I want you guys to know that it's okay to have issues. It's okay to post, hey, I have this problem. Hey, my epoxy did this. What happened? Because I don't want to silence anyone. I want everyone to fully be able to get the support that they need from the product that I so 100% stand behind. So anytime you guys have problems, questions, concerns, issues, I want to be the first one to know about it. Like, I want to help you. If I have to get on the phone with you or we have to FaceTime, I want to talk you through and make sure that everything that I can possibly do, I have done. And then if you still at the end of that conversation are like, I just can't deal with this, by all means, I understand. But I just want you guys to have all the information. I did a lot of smoothing on it, but was worried I was going to mess it up by rubbing on it. Nope. No, you want to massage it. The more that you are handling it, is the more that those bubbles are rising to the top and popping, and you're not going to have so many micro bubbles. My issue was I used black holographic glitter with the glass coat. It was amazing, beautiful. The day I was supposed to deliver the cup, it was dull gray with no sparkle. Oh, Kim, I've never heard of that. I got a few fit. So Ms. Price, how much heat are you using on that cup? No, you have a pretty big working window for this. So if you're letting this spin, so what I usually do again, so we're going to let this spin for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go back and see if there's any of those bubbles that have rose to the top in the epoxy that is already starting to set a little bit, and I'm going to hit it with the heat again if I see any issues. I do not see any issues right now, but because of the degasser, it's constantly pulling those bubbles from the bottom of the epoxy to the top. So you might not see anything now, but set your timer, come back in 30 minutes and check it out. And if you see something, hit it with the heat again. Okay, yeah. Your heat gun. So I'm thinking that the heat gun may be an issue. It might be introducing, it might be blowing I know the heat guns are not made to blow, but some of them still move air. So they still move things around. So that's why I found that some of the fish eyes or bubbles and stuff that I was getting, it was after I used the heat gun, which I think dust and stuff gets inside of our heat guns, and so when we blow them on our cups, it introduces those particles onto our cup. So I've always said I don't use a torch. I don't use those big giant ones. Those still terrify me. Anytime someone turns one on, I squeal. But I am getting a little bit more comfortable using this little tiny one. And I only use the one that has the button where it's only going to blow fire if I press the button. So I don't want something that's constantly blowing fire, and I'm just like, because that to me, I would accidentally drop it and set my place on fire. But it also helps you not to put too much heat on, introduce too much heat on your cups. Selene. Okay. The pot time, the working time from mixed to too thick is about 45 to 50 minutes. Danielle said she finds if she warms her cup up a little bit before she applies the epoxy, it helps. Now, I've done that on stainless steel cups. I've had some cups, I don't know why I'm looking up there. I've had some cups that I've left in the trunk of my car, and I went to spray paint. So before I spray painted them, because my spray paint was inside and in the regular temperature, I did heat my stainless steel cup up with my heat gun, so it's kind of the same temperature, because I think I've had problems with spray paint on a cold cup. It gives it like a little funky stuff on it. I don't know. Let's see. I don't recommend a hairdryer because a hairdryer blows air. So if you are using it, if you're using the hairdryer just to pop bubbles, no. You can use a hairdryer to do different techniques, like if you're moving your epoxy around, because that's what you really want, that epoxy to flow and move in some techniques. But to pop bubbles, I do not recommend a blow dryer. It doesn't get hot enough. You really need that heat, that flash heat from that torch to like pop those bubbles and not mess with the finish of your epoxy. Kathy, I'm so happy. I want everyone to have the same results. So that's why I'm trying to talk people through this, because I want everyone to love it just as much as I do. Yeah, so I would recommend getting you a regular heat gun. You can pick a heat gun up really cheap, Harbor Freight, Amazon, Home Depot, wherever you get it, for like 20 bucks or less. You can pick up one of these little torches here and a thing of butane for less than 20 bucks on Amazon. They might be cheaper somewhere else, but I'm an Amazon girl, so I always order from Amazon. Yeah, so that's why I tell y'all, do not turn it on and then point it at the cup and just keep going. That's why I pop mine. So it's those bursts of heat in those trouble spots, the dark vinyl, the chrome vinyl, that you don't want those bubbles, because you're not going to see a micro bubble over white glitter. You might, but I don't sweat it. I'm looking now. I'm trying to see if I see anything. I don't think so. Let's see. Can you tell me what brand torch you use? Yes, I think I've posted about it in the group, but I will definitely post. I'll definitely post a link to the one I use. Oh, look. My best friend did my glitter wall, even though I haven't added all my glitter there, and it's driving me bonkers because some of them are blue and some of them are green. They'll all be yellow when I get done. But my best friend did that for me. Mine always starts getting hot about 15 minutes. Am I doing so? Are you preheating it before you mix it? If you start heating either A or B, you're already starting that chemical reaction. You're accelerating the reaction time. So I didn't introduce any heat to mine at all until it was on the cup. So if you are warming part A or part B and it's setting up quicker, that is the reason why, is because you're introducing heat to it. And you're setting off that chemical reaction and it's accelerating that. None of my other cups have done it, but I do love the product. Kat, no, those, I want it to be different. Shocker. We will have some available in the store because you only could buy them in like a box of 1,000, and I don't need 1,000. So if you are local, we will have some available in the store, but online, I think if we keep changing colors, people will be crazy. So we did have green at one time. They discontinued green and then they went to blue, and I don't like blue. I think blue's ugly. And so I really wanted purple, but they don't have purple, so yellow was the next best thing. Lillian said, I'm in Massachusetts and I don't feel like I need to warm my epoxy. It always turns out beautifully. I've heard that the CO2 in the flame is what draws and pops out bubbles. That could be it. I'm not a sciencey. That could possibly be it. Maybe that's why I just don't like to turn it on. That's why I pop it. I tried glass coat this weekend. I have to tell you, I truly enjoyed its outcome. No bubbles, and I've never had such success from the first time trying an epoxy. Yay, that makes me happy. So I want to get everyone to feeling that same way because I love it. We tried to build this epoxy around the way that I craft. And you guys know I'm very haphazardly when I craft. I don't take myself too seriously. I don't stress over little things. Like, I'm just go with the flow. So I really wanted this epoxy to be go with the flow. Just like, if you want to think about it and like make it super complicated, you can, but you don't have to think about it and make it super complicated to work. That's the way that I formulated this product to be used, is just like, hey, we're crafting and we're having fun. That's how I wanted it made. Oh yeah, so you're super heating it up. So you're already starting that process. So that's why your pot time is so low. So I didn't heat either side up. I used it room temperature, and I waited until it was on the cup before I introduced heat. So I have 45 to 50 minutes pot time, as long as you don't add any heat to A or B before you mix it. I'm sorry, like, for the cup, the camera is too far away from the turner. So, I'm going to get a new camera for this. So I'll get a new one that will have the capabilities to zoom in. I can lift it up. Would you like me to lift it up and you can see a little closer? Let me put my gloves on so I can touch that. I will try not to break the whole dang thing, but I want you guys to see what you want to see. I'm waiting on the information to get a new a new camera to mount, so I can zoom in and out and you guys can get into the nitty gritty. But would you like me to see? Let's see. I don't know if it's going to focus because I can't stay still long enough. Let's see, maybe this way. Is that better? I think that's just worse. I'm going to improve on that, I promise. But I did it that way So y'all could be stationary, because I think I give some of y'all motion sickness when I'm like, hey, let's look at this, and I like move you down and all that crazy stuff. Newbie from UK and been watching your YouTube videos. I'm waiting for it to warm up by the glass coat and chomping at the bit. I'm hoping that with my PPE on, I won't get a reaction like the others. I'm gonna tell you, don't quote me on this, I have not used my respirator with the glass coat or the speed dry. I still use, most of the time I have sleeves on because I have my arms already have issues. I always wear my gloves. I can't wear goggles over my fantastic glasses, but I'm working on that. And I have not had a reaction. I used a competitor's product this weekend because I was out of my speed dry, and by the end of, I've used it on 2 cups and 2 pins, and at the end of the day my eyes were swollen. So that is my my reactions or my results. So everyone's is going to vary. I recommend to use your PPE if you can. I wish I could wear a whole face thing, but I cannot because I'm blind and I can't wear contacts, and none of my glasses fit inside of that. So that is my next project. I'm going to try to find us one that works with that. Do you have the glass coat in your store? Yep, sure do. Hi, Renee. Thank you very much. So if you're using the pumps are calibrated for 1 ounce for each pump. So it's one pump, and you do not have to measure. If the pumps are giving you issues because the product is thicker because it is in the winter time now, or if it's just too thick for your liking, you can use it by spouts, but it is measured by, so you would still measure it out. Measuring it, not weighing it, measuring it, like out, fluidly weighing it. Weighing by, not by weight, by ounces, by volume, that's what it is. No, I just had, I've been dealing with a really bad, hives really bad. I started a medication that I inject in my stomach every other week. I got the COVID vaccine. I didn't get COVID, but I got the COVID vaccine, and it totally wiped me out. The first one did. I don't know if that's normal, but I slept for like 18 hours or something. So I'm working on getting a schedule to where you and I can hang out a lot more. You guys will see a lot more videos. I have a lot of things planned. So hopefully with my space here, my Zen space, I will be able to do a lot more uninterrupted things, and we can hang out more. Glass coat, mittens on, and then rubber gloves. Should another epoxy be used for putting the glitter on, and the glass coat be used over the glitter that already be? You can use glass coat for everything. You can use it for application. If you're needing it, if you're needing it to be speeded up or something until we get speed dry, you can definitely, once they're cured, you can layer another brand with us on top or whatever. But the glass coat can be used for everything. All right, Mr. Nola's got some homework. I like that. I usually have sleeves on. I usually have some disposable sleeves that I have at the shop, but I didn't put it on. Hi, Aunt Dar. I love your face. All right, so you guys want to look at this. This is the stick one. It still looks like there's a lot of micro bubbles, but if we use, oh no, you can't see that. Let me go back to this one. It's clearing up, but if I pull from the top, that epoxy down there is crystal clear. So once I start putting that on my cup, that's bringing those bubbles to the top, and they're effortlessly popping. And this is what we've been sitting here for however long we've been sitting here. And this is, I have not introduced any heat to this, and it's still like honey. So you have a really long potable time for this to do all the things. So if you want to set this here and let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, by all means you can, as long as you haven't introduced heat to A or B before you mixed it. You're still going to get perfect epoxy. All right. Jennifer, yes, it is actually, that is the next thing that's coming in, hopefully soon. Mr. Nola's been working on that. I know you guys want bigger bottles of the epoxy, so yes, I believe our next order will include those, I think. Yeah. All right, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to transfer that to my other turner and see what we can do. But hopefully this has answered some questions. You guys have actually seen it in the works. I don't want to make this too long. I wanted to make it informative so people can come back and watch it and it's not a bunch of jibber. So Danielle said, do I ever spray my epoxy with alcohol? When I'm using this epoxy in molds, yes, because I don't like to introduce the heat source of this to my molds. And I find that, again, the heat gun blows my epoxy around in my molds. I use a little spray bottle that looks like this, but not this. And it sprays a fine mist. So when I do molds with the glass coat, I spray it with the alcohol to get rid of the bubbles. You can definitely do that on your cup if you feel like it. I'm just never done it on a cup before. So I don't think that you would, I don't think it would hurt it because I use it I do it in the back of the molds all the time and it's fine. No, it'll just probably cure faster, Sarah. Sarah said, I work in my garage and when summer gets here, it's pretty hot out there. Will the glass coat have issues with higher temperature? It loves heat. So if I were to put this on my turner and then turn on my little space heater, I have like a little mini space heater like this that I put on top of my turner. This will cure in about 6 hours. So no, it really likes the heat, so you're good. Okay, Miss Pam, we can plan that. So, all right, guys. Well, I will let this get to curing, and then we will get down to nitty gritty. We will get in there. I'll get in all the nooks and crannies to see if you guys can see any bubbles. I am watching it now on the problem spots, like my chrome vinyl. It looks perfect. It's super clear. On the black decals, I don't see any bubbles as well. It looks pretty clear to me. So if you guys have any other questions, just leave them below and I will answer, or tag me somewhere and I will get them answered. We will get you all taken care of. But thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'm going to save this video, of course, so you can go back and watch it at any time. If you see anything that you have questions about, again, just reach out to us. We are more than happy to help you guys. All right. Hi, Stephanie. All right, guys. Well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon if I can figure out how to turn this off. So bear with me. Oh, there it is. Maybe. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.